Baseball isn't just numbers, numbers, numbers.
This game is not being played on computers.
You don't do that with a bunch of statistical gimmicks.
You don't put a team together with a computer.
We're talking weighted runs created plus,
expected WOBA,
his sweet spot rate,
defensive runs above average,
average exit velocity,
barrel rate,
xFIP,
BABIP,
SIERA.
We are
above replacement radio.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing very well today. This is the first time this season that we are recording post Sunday night game. Normally, we're either recording Sunday morning or we're recording during the Sunday night game. It has ended. It was a pretty quick game. It was like, 2 hours and 20-something minutes. Not your typical Red Sox-Yankees game, but it was a 3-0 win. The Red Sox came out victorious. Rafael Devers hit his 16th home run as a visiting player at Yankee Stadium, which ties him with David Ortiz already.
Yeah, quite the feat, quite the feat. And yeah, it's kind of an exclamation point on what's been sort of a trend in the Bronx as they have lost now 15 out of 20 games. They have kind of their position in the AL East has definitely faltered a little bit. Orioles have stayed fairly consistent, maybe not dominating, but they've been doing better than the Yankees. So Yankees have fallen out of first. They're I think a few games behind the Orioles now.
3 games, yeah.
Yeah, so but yeah, they've been struggling quite a bit. What have you been seeing with the Yankees?
It's actually interesting the way that the Yankees have been struggling. They have the worst record in the league for the last 3 or 4 weeks. You'd kind of think the Orioles are running away with it a lot more than they are. It's only a 3-game deficit, so the Yankees have more than enough time to make it up. But yeah, things are not looking good in the Bronx right now. The Yankees, I believe, have the most runs allowed since June 15th, which is when this stretch started. And yeah, the offense hasn't exactly attained for it either. Soto and Judge have been excellent, but beyond that, outside of a few games from Ben Rice, they haven't really gotten much production out of their lineup outside of the 2 superstars that they have.
Right. And yeah, I'm just looking at some playoff odds to see what how things used to look. Yeah, the before this stretch, the Yankees had a 76.6% chance to win the division. That is down to 44% now, which is not obviously an impossible position, but it's a lot worse than 77%. And yeah, it seems like it has been some bad turns through the rotation, specifically. Like pitching has been pretty bad for them overall, but starting pitching, especially excluding today, Luis Gil actually put together a very nice performance, which was his first one in a good bit. But the Yankees heading into today, in their previous 19 games, had a 7.37 rotation ERA, which was by far the worst in baseball. And their FIP was not much better. Their FIP was 6.04 in these 19 games, which is also by far the worst in baseball. And then overall pitching wise, their FIP was 5.34, which was the worst in baseball, and their ERA was 6.36, which was the worst in baseball. So some bad turns through the rotation. Carlos Rodon had an ERA or has an ERA over 10 in this span. Marcus Stroman has an ERA over 6. Garrett Cole, granted, it's been mostly one bad start, but Garrett Cole has an ERA and FIP over 6 since he came back. So yeah, it seems as though the rotation has been the issue, and it makes me wonder if that has made the Yankees plan at the deadline more acute, where it's just like, okay, we really need to get a starter because things are not going well on this front.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Just going into some more broader pitching stats, rotation and bullpen included. Since June 15th, they are obviously, this is coming into today, but since June 15th, they are 5-14, now 5-15 after their loss tonight. As an entire staff, they have negative -0.6 Fangraphs wins above replacement. That is the lowest in all of baseball. They have a 6.36 ERA, of 5.34 FIP, both of those being the worst in the majors. 1.89 home runs per 9, and 17.2% home run to fly ball ratio. The strikeout to walks are fine. Side note, do you want to guess which team has the highest pitching FWAR in this time?
Um, uh, so the way you're saying it is probably a very surprising team.
It is a very surprising team.
Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna go ahead and say the Cardinals,
It's literally the last team you would ever think it would be.
the Rockies,
Second worst. Okay, I forgot. I guess the Rockies would be a little bit more crazy, but it's one of the worst teams in the league.
White Sox.
It's the White Sox.
No
They have the
way.
highest they have the highest pitching F4 in the league since June 15th, which is weird because according to these numbers, they shouldn't. Uh, the White Sox have pitched 179 and two-thirds innings pitched. The Atlanta Braves have pitched 177.0. So we're talking about two and two-thirds innings of difference here. The Braves have a better strikeouts per nine by almost two entire strikeouts. They have a lower walks per nine, a lower home runs per nine, and a FIP that's almost 60 points lower, but they still have a lower F4.
Interesting.
I don't really
Yeah.
know why this is. I get. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I get says the White Sox have played 78 games. Wait, what? Oh, wait, that's pitchers. Never mind. Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't understand why that is.
Yeah. I mean, let's tag the warmonger on Twitter for this, because this one is this one
Yeah,
actually
right.
seems to have some
This
justification
one, this
for it.
one actually doesn't really make much sense. The Braves have a lower ERA. Not that that matters in this scenario here. Yeah, no, I mean strikeouts per nine. Braves are at 10.22. The White Sox are at 8.47. Walks per nine. The Braves are at 2.95. The White Sox are at 3.26. Home runs per nine. It's 0.81 to 0.95. Atlanta leads. FIP, it's 3.26 to 3.81, and it's almost identical innings pitched. So I don't really know. And it's only a difference of zero point 0.1 F4. It's 3.2 to 3.1. White Sox are ahead, but it doesn't seem to add up. I don't really know why that is.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, yeah, and even in the strikeout minus walk rate, it's a pretty big difference as well. Because I'm
Yeah, it
pretty
would have
sure
to
that's
be.
how they measure it off of. So yeah, I mean, like,
Braves are at 20% even. The White Sox
or at
are at
13.8%.
13.8%. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I I don't know why that is. Like
yeah,
it would make
yeah.
sense if the White Sox had like many more innings pitched, but they really don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be I mean, I haven't looked at schedules and I it's we could we're not going to dive too deep into it, but maybe
Yeah,
like
so this is
Atlanta
not the
has been
subject at hand, but it has become
Atlanta
it.
might have played in some very pitcher friendly stadiums, and
I guess
maybe
so.
White Sox played in very non-pitcher friendly stadiums, but I don't recall. Like, I don't know. Have the White Sox been to Colorado in the span? Maybe. Um,
Yes, they have.
okay, so it could be a
Or
factor,
wait,
maybe not.
no, the Rockies were in Chicago.
Okay. Well,
They
all
played the
right.
Rockies.
So,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was in Chicago though.
that is a question mark.
Very
But
interesting.
yeah,
Anyway, back to the Yankees. Um,
yes.
yeah, I mean it's been the pitching above all else in pretty much any facet of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with Garrett Cole, I feel like maybe fans would be the most concerned with Garrett Cole because he has a 6.5 or 6.75 ERA and 6.46 FIP in his four starts since coming back. Um, part of me, part of me is a little bit worried, part of me isn't, because outside of one start, the strikeouts and walks have been there.
Yeah,
I was concerned with a little bit of a velocity drop, but it seems like it's kind of increasing back. But overall, from last year to this year, his four seam velocity has dropped point 0.9 miles per hour, and there was already concern with his four seam velocity dropping already last year. So yeah, it's just stuff to keep an eye on. But I mean, after four starts and with two of them definitely being pretty good, and um, the other against the Red Sox, he kind of ran into a little bit of bad luck. I'm not gonna say like, oh, is it time to be concerned about Garrett Cole, but it's we're a few starts away from being there, whereas before that it would be several starts before we
mm.
would get there. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but
The Yankees are lucky enough to have gotten off to such a ridiculously good start to where there's still not really much question that they're going to be in the playoffs despite how bad they've been. I mean, the division definitely feels a lot more unlikely now than it did a couple weeks ago. Definitely not out of question though, but I mean, they are uh how many games up in the wild card right now?
Um, Quite a bit. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
four and a half games
precisely.
up or well, 4.5 games up uh on the Red Sox, I think it is, right? Or is it on the
Probably.
Royals?
Um,
I
yeah,
think it's
I
four and a
forget.
half up on the Royals. But regardless, I mean, I mean, this is a tough stretch, but it's probably something that they'll eventually get through. They do have a tough schedule this week. They play Tampa and Baltimore both on the road.
Right, right. Yeah, but yeah, as far like I feel like we kind of always knew the Yankees were overperforming a little bit, and we knew they were underperforming last year. So it seems like they've kind of reached their middle point of where they should be at. I don't know where exactly they are on pace to win, or like where they are for
I
pace
mean,
in terms.
their winning percentage just dipped below 600 after this loss.
So yeah, they're on pace to get
So
like 96 or 97 wins.
yeah, like they are still if they go, yeah, they're still on pace to be a very good team.
So I think right now they kind of are where they should have been at anyway. And
Hmm.
maybe the Orioles are still overperforming a little bit, which they tend to do. Um, but but yeah, so I don't know. I think part of it is just like a balancing out. Obviously, Luis Heel was not going to be a Cy Young candidate, Um, and even still, like there's been some great performers that are still performing great. Judge and Soto are still doing exceptionally well. Um, so yeah, but yeah, I think just the starting rotation, they weren't supposed to be that good. They're evening out a little bit, and they'll probably be decent the rest of the way, and the Yankees will probably be decent the rest of the way. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a balancing out, probably.
Yeah, I mean it has been rough though. I mean, can we talk about what went down on Friday night though with that play with DJ LeMahieu and Anthony Volpe? Because that was, I think, if any singular game or any singular telling about this stretch, it's probably that one. So just to give some context, it was Red Sox Yankees game on Friday. The Yankees had, I believe it was men on the corners with one out uh, in, I think it was the third inning, something like that. Yeah, it was the third inning. And uh, God, who was batting? Ben Rice was batting, and he hit a chopper to first base. Dom Smith fielded it and then stepped on the bag, which meant that there was no more force play. They had to throw to second to tag DJ LeMahieu, which meant that the run, if it scored before the tag, would have counted. But Anthony Volpe just kind of stopped running and didn't score. And in the post game, said that he thought it was foul, so he stopped running. And it's one thing when you lose a game because your team doesn't come through in a big spot or because they make an error in an inopportune time. You play 162 games and sometimes that stuff's going to happen. But, to lose on something like that, something that you're taught in Little League, that's where things start to become real issues. And to have that happen in the middle of a losing skid like that, I fear says something about what the vibe might be in that clubhouse right now.
Yeah, it could be, but I think, if you're a Yankees fan, you're thankful that it happened now and not later in the season. It's maybe a learning moment for a young, 22-year-old shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it is possible that maybe he thought it was foul. And I think there is a thing within teams where they do kind of want to sometimes, not go full throttle when they don't have to, because, there's more
I mean,
risk
it's a
for
90-foot sprint.
I mean, there's,
Yeah,
people
I know
people get
teams were
injured on the
also. I
base.
mean, you talk about like the 22-year-old rookie, like DJ LeMahieu should probably know to get in a rundown there. That's not a 22-year-old. That's a 36-year-old that's been in
That's
the
true.
game for enough time to get a pension and is
Yeah,
already locked up for 3 more years after this one.
that's true. That's true. But yeah, the comment about thinking it's foul is interesting. It just seemed like everyone on that play was sort of confused. Because it is a play that doesn't happen a whole lot.
Yeah.
the where you're where the where there's a rundown for a potential double play.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it is tough, but I think if anything, you're thankful that that happens on July 6th instead of, October 13th.
Oh no, for sure, for sure. That would be a really bad look.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I mean it would definitely be a tough a tough look for sure. But it definitely doesn't help that it happened in the middle of a losers kid, and also that it ended up kind of making a difference in the game. The game ended up going to extras, and you know, obviously if that run scores, you don't go to extras,
Yeah,
and we're looking at a Yankees series win.
right, right. Yeah, true.
So
True. Against their hated rivals,
against yeah, against the Red Sox, the rivalry.
the rivalry. Babe Ruth,
Babe Ruth, John Zimmer, Pedro Martinez, Jason Varitek, Alex Rodriguez.
Joe Kelly, and Tyler Austin. I was amped when that happened, but in retrospect, that was kind of
I
silly,
missed
but
it. I was doing homework.
that's tough. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was like a random Tuesday night in April, when that happened. But yeah, so yeah, the Yankees, we'll see what they're up to. But
Mhm.
they're on a skid. However, they're in a decently safe spot. However, not to say however a bunch, but the Orioles are in a much better position than they used to be.
Oh, for sure.
Anyway, yeah, so anything more on the Yankees?
No, I got nothing more on the Yankees. A team that is, however, going in the better direction is the St. Louis Cardinals. They've kind of emerged as like the one team that is slightly marginally pulling away with the that second wild card spot that no one really wants to stay above 500 for in the National League. Uh, they are currently, well, what did they win today or lose today?
They won against the Nationals, yeah.
Okay, they won today, which means they are 29 and 17 in their since May 17th. So the St. Louis Cardinals won their game today against the Nationals. They are 29 and 17 since going back to May 17th, and that is the best record in the National League over that span. Interestingly enough, uh, their run differential does not show that they should. Their Pythagorean win loss coming into today since May 17th is only at 514. So they've played like a just barely above 500 team. They've scored 200 runs, allowed 194. So it's hard to really pinpoint exactly, what is going well outside of the bullpen, because Ryan Helsley has been probably or perhaps the best reliever, one of the best relievers in the National League this year. Obviously, he was selected to the All-Star game. Um, so I mean, having him and the rest of the bullpen is definitely been big for the Cardinals.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's definitely interesting to look at, and I'm looking at their stats over the whole season, which is somewhat representative of what they've been doing since May 17th.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, in one-run games, they're not necessarily, getting a crazy, long end of the stick here. They're 17 and 12 in one-run games, which is, definitely a little bit, I guess, quote unquote, lucky, but not anything absurd. But in terms of the blowout wins that Baseball Reference categorizes, it's any game determined by 5+ runs. If you include today, they're 5 and 14 in those games, which means when they lose, they tend to lose by a lot. I don't know what that's necessarily indicative of, but that's a third of their losses that are in the blowout category. Which I don't know, I don't have the numbers on what the average is, but they seem to be not getting the blowout victories, but they seem to be getting the blowout losses. Um, but in terms of like actual one run down to the wire games, it's not necessarily like they're excelling at those either. So it just seems, I don't know, they're the best in the league at winning 2 to 4 run games, I
yeah.
guess. I guess that's
That's
the
kind of where my
conclusion.
beef. That's kind of where my beef with run differential like comes in because like there are teams that just don't have the strongest offense in the league but have a really good bullpen and thus are going to win a lot of close games. Like that was how I felt with that one Mariners team. I think it was 2021, the fun differential team.
Yeah.
Uh, where yeah, they had like maybe the best bullpen in the league, but couldn't really hit very consistently and won 90 games and like should have finished under 500, but because of that, they
Right,
won 90.
right. Yeah, and it makes me curious what their bullpen looks like this year. You mentioned Helsley. Helsley's been pretty good.
Since May 17th, the span that I mentioned, their bullpen has a 2.99 ERA, and they also have a 3.77 FIP, which isn't fantastic, but all that matters is they're not allowing the runs, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what we like to say. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, so I guess in terms of what the run differential means, because in terms of their overall Pythagorean win-loss, it says they should be 10 games below 500, funnily enough. Um,
Yeah, I
but
believe it.
but I guess that kind of brings hesitation for what the future holds for them. Or is this sort of the archetype of team they are? Um, because it does seem, I don't know, it tends to be, I don't have any statistics behind it, but it tends to be the stronger bullpens are able to will teams above a normal Pythagorean win loss. Um, there might be, I think there might be some statistics against that point, but just observationally, I think that's the case. And yeah, when you got Ryan Helsley back there, you got some good bullpen guys back there. It's gonna lead your luck in a better direction a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan Fernandez, John King, to name a few others. I mean, this is kind of what is needed right now, like from any team that's just given the state of um the wild card race. Like every team that's been there has kind of hovered 500. Like you get a stretch going like this where regardless of how you're doing it, you're winning games. That might set you apart from the rest of the field and is going to come in handy, come later in this season. So even with all this, we're talking about a team that is 2.5 games up in a playoff spot right now, and obviously that could change at any given moment. But it's also a team that took the best record in the National League for nearly 2 months to get there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like yeah, it's kind of similar to what the Marlins did last year.
Hmm.
Marlins outperformed their Pythagorean win-loss by 9 games last year. Snuck into a playoff spot. They weren't dominating their way there. They were just winning situational baseball. How far that carries over long term is questionable, but it worked out for them last year, in terms of getting to the playoffs. And yeah, I
They're
mean, that might be the situation for the Cardinals this year.
In this span, the Cardinals rotation has a 371 FIP. That is the fourth best in Major League Baseball. And that was kind of their biggest question mark coming into the season was what is this rotation like going to do, right? Because, we felt confident in Sonny Gray, but there was certainly a lot of question marks with every single other person. But Miles Michaelis, he's pitched very well a 3.51 FIP, despite only 6 strikeouts per nine. They've put my boy Andre Palante back in the rotation. He's been pitching pretty well. A FIP under 4. Lance Lynn did get rocked yesterday, but before that, he had been doing all right. Kyle Gibson has been, exactly what he needs to be a 4.12 ERA, a 4.06 FIP. I mean, that's really much of what you can ask from him. But Sonny Gray has been like a legit ace for the Cardinals this entire year.
Yeah, definitely
Was
under the
he
surface.
was he elected to the All Star team today?
That's a
I don't
good
think he.
question.
I don't
Um,
believe he was.
well,
Perhaps he should have been. But
that adds to the
also the more
narrative.
into All-Star stuff, I do think they did actually a fine job with the National League pitchers for the most part.
Yeah, and also I guess the argument against Gray is like the ERA because he has a decent ERA, but it's not as fantastic as his FIP. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'm not sure what the people selecting look at, but
Oh, they
that would
definitely don't
be
look at FIP.
yeah. I don't know if they're looking at FIP, but yeah, in regards to in regards to that Cardinals rotation, I think if you ask someone like, okay, what's the most realistic but what's the most realistic way that the Cardinals rotation can succeed? You'd be like, well, Gray, you need Gray to do well, give you some innings and just do well start per start and just have everyone else not really be a disaster. And it just seems like that's the case. It seems like Gibson hasn't imploded yet. Lynn hasn't imploded really outside of that one start. Miles Michaelis hasn't imploded. So they've all been good enough to, lead into that bullpen, which has helped them win some games.
Yeah, I do want to shout out some guys on the offense real quick because we've kind of been talking about how, it's been mostly the pitching, but I think the most telling thing about the way this team has been going is who's doing it, right? Because, I think our mindset on the Cardinals going into this year was, if Arenado and Goldschmidt don't continue to be like big pieces for this team, it's hard to see a path for them to make the playoffs. And Arnado's been like a league average bat. Goldschmidt's been like a league average bat, both since May 17th, which again is the span in which they have the best record in the National League. But the real breakouts are Mason Wynn and Brendan Donovan, because both of them have been excellent. They have a weighted runs created plus above 125 each. Wynn has become a pretty dynamic looking shortstop. He's playing solid defense for the Cardinals. He's putting the ball in play, not walking a ton, but also not striking out, and it's cool to see him because it was he's been a big name prospect. They've had Jordan Walker in the last few years, but it's cool to see that Mason Wynn is like really developing and looks like a legit piece for them right now.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. Because yeah, I mean, the Cardinals, they're I think we've talked about it a couple years, but they're an interesting roster because it seems like they have some core veterans and then some guys who are really, really young that they're hoping to develop. And yeah, Wynn is definitely one of those guys. He's only 22 right now, so still plenty of t time for him to flourish. And yeah, Donovan is also, he was a rookie only a couple years ago, pretty sure. And yeah, he's in his age 27 season, but still on the younger side, right side of 30 by a few years. So yeah. So yeah, it's good to see them flourish. And obviously with Arenado nor Goldschmidt not excelling really whatsoever, it's cool to see cool to see the Cardinals offense not really fully implode. Um, but yeah, so yeah, anything more on St. Louis?
No, I think that's kind of all I had to say on them.
Did you want to talk about the All-Star team?
Yeah, let's talk about the All-Star teams. They were released today. And the amazing thing about it is everyone agreed with the picks that were made on all fronts, and nobody questioned anything.
Yeah, it's the what would it be? 91st year in a row, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 91st year in a row. They're really cooking over there at the All-Star
yeah.
game.
So the rosters for the Johnson Spalding Invitational have been released today. The
Yeah.
91st annual Johnson Spalding Invitational.
Yeah.
Um, and well, we got to talk about the things that people mad because we did mention I did say nobody got mad. There was an asterisk next to that because people did get mad
Yeah.
at a few things. The biggest one I think being the Mets representative, right? I mean, they picked Pete Alonso to represent the Mets in the All-Star game as their lone All-Star. Brandon Nimmo has the second highest F4 among outfielders in the National League. He was not selected to be an All-Star. Francisco Lindor has the third highest F4 among National League shortstops. He was not selected, but two guys with fewer F4 were, one of them because he was their lone representative, one because he won the fan vote. Francisco Lindor has never made the All-Star game as a Met, despite 3 seasons where he's put up at least two F4 before the break. This one, I believe, he's put up 3.3.
Yeah.
Like they put Geraldo Perdomo in over Lindor last year. Like don't
Right.
don't forget about that.
Let's not forget about that. Yeah, no.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm sure, I mean, they have to replace Mookie Betts, who, will not be participating in the All-Star game due to his injury. And I'm sure that that nod will go to Lindor, but it's annoying that they can't just pick him.
Yeah, it's weird. The whole trend of this uh has been weird because I'm like looking at some of these selections and I'm like, did they like vote on this like at the end of May? Because then you
No,
might
that's what
under
I feel too. Yeah.
yeah, then you might
Like
understand it because Teoscar
Clay Holmes,
Hernandez was
Marcus
like,
Semien.
yeah, Teoscar Hernandez was red hot at the time. He's in. Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor had not really gone off yet. They were like,
Mhm.
June was sort of their month. Obviously, it was the Mets month, but yeah, like like how long ago were these some of these decisions made? Because the
Opening
fact
day.
that Teoscar Hernandez is in and not Brandon Nimmo, that's not
Same
really
with
decisions
like
made
Luis
today.
Ariz over like Jonathan India.
Right. And are they putting in Arise as a second baseman?
So I mean, I think they just kind of had him as an infielder, but
Okay.
they didn't have another second baseman other than Ketel Marte. So that would be my assumption.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the
I
guy
mean, I
is
don't think they
hitting
did.
over 300. I mean, let's not forget about that. That's what we need to remember about Luis Ariz. Not the fact that he's, a low to mid 700s OPS guy this year with
Yeah,
negative defense.
you just got to look at that 315 average and nothing else.
Yes. Nothing
And turn a
else.
blind eye to every other part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. The reserves, CJ Abrams is a shortstop, Alonso's a first baseman, Arise, they just have an infielder.
Hmm.
Betts, shortstop, but also won't be playing. De La Cruz, shortstop. Freeman, first base. Outfield, Ryan McMahon's a third baseman. Jackson Merrill's an outfielder. Ozuna's a DH. Ramos is an outfielder. Will Smith. Yeah, I mean, the only other second baseman they have in, other than Ketel Marte, is Luis Ariz. So, yeah, I mean, I think they deliberately picked him to be a second baseman.
Yeah, that's a tough look. Because yeah, Jonathan India has been definitely better.
I put in a list of every change I think should be made to the All-Star teams, which honestly I feel like this is fewer changes than I would have put in most years.
Right.
So first one, swap Teoscar Hernandez for Brandon Nimmo.
Hmm.
No disrespect to Teoscar, he's had a solid year, but Nimmo's been better. And I mean, like Heliot Ramos would be the next one on the chopping block, but he has more F4 than Teoscar and fewer plate appearances by a lot. Swap Pete Alonso for Christian Walker. Christian Walker's been like an MVP candidate across the board. Uh, when you look at him, like he's not far behind both Bryce Harper and Freddie Freeman, in terms of first base production this year in the National League.
Right.
So he deserves to be in there. That would also fix the issue of the Mets representative because you'd have Brandon Nimmo in there. You wouldn't have to worry about Alonso. Um, Replace Mookie Betts with Francisco Lindor. I assume this is a move that will be made. Obviously, Mookie can't be there. Swap Luis Ariz for Jonathan India. And then getting into the AL side of things, I had much fewer qualms with what happened in the AL, but swap Marcus Semien for Jordan Westberg. Again, I feel like this is a move that was made a long time ago because Semien has been ice cold for a few weeks now. And then swap Clay Holmes for Hunter Gaddis. Another one. Clay Holmes didn't allow a run until May 20th of this season. Since then, he has a 6.75 ERA.
Yeah,
And a
right,
lot of that
right.
has been a lot of that has been some misfortune. He is a batting average against of 306 again on ground balls this year.
Mm.
So that's tough. But and then also just pitching replacements. I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of pitcher replacements that are made with guys starting on Saturday or Sunday before the All-Star game. So I want to see George Kirby in there. I want to see Christopher Sanchez in there, and I want to see Sonny Gray in there.
Yeah, right, right, right.
Any
Yeah.
anything that I didn't add that you wanted to add?
No, but to expand on Christian Walker, that omission kind of played into my thoughts of like they probably decided this a while ago because Christian Walker, if you were not watching, totally wrecked the Dodgers for for a 3-game series.
He did.
I'm sad as a fantasy owner of him that he's not going to be playing at Dodger Stadium anymore this year. But yeah, he absolutely wrecked the Dodgers and he moved up like almost a full win above replacement. So yeah, maybe it would make more sense to omit him if these selections happened, a week ago, which maybe they did. I don't know.
I'm sure that didn't happen today.
Yeah, it wasn't all today. So yeah, that's kind of those are kind of the qualms. I would agree with you on pretty much all fronts there.
Yeah, I
Um,
will say I think they did a very good job overall, especially with like the National League pitchers. Like there's really not much I would change. Like I would like to get, and I mentioned Christopher Sanchez and Sonny Gray. That's more just find a way to get them in there when guys inevitably aren't going to pitch. But I mean, they did a pretty good job with those. One of the National League pitchers that was selected Of course, the guy that's been making headlines ever since his call up has been Paul Skenes. And this has been a popular topic, but Chris, like, do you think they should just start Paul Skenes in the All-Star game and take advantage of the marketing opportunity that's available with him?
Yeah, I mean, even any girlfriend stuff aside, um, even with that, like if you're MLB and you're thinking about, and I know it's not MLB's decision, but who can create a moment? That's kind of like of all the NL pitchers, he's probably going to be able to create a moment more than any of the
Yeah,
many any of the other candidates. He could like when you think about great all-star pitching performances, Pedro's the first to come to mind. Skeens is probably the best candidate to like recreate that, given
yes.
his quality of stuff. Given like, see what he did to the Cubs. He struck out 11 in 6 innings in his second start. Like he could do something really special. And there's like if they put I don't know Ranger Suarez out there, he's an all
I
star,
mean,
right?
yeah, like here's the thing. You're facing the top three in the AL batting order. That's going to be Aaron Judge. It's going to be Juan Soto. And who would be the third in there? Would it
Gunner,
be Jordan?
yeah, maybe Jordan. I don't know where Gunner's gonna be, but yeah,
Gunner. Actually, yeah, honestly, it's probably Gunner. It's probably Gunner, Soto, Judge,
yeah,
top three.
right.
And like if there's anyone on this NL roster that I want to see face those three in the first inning, it's Paul Skeens. Um, and you look, and it's also like I don't feel like anyone has like a glaringly obvious like we have to start this guy this year. Like the NL leader in ER and in F4 is Chris Sale. He's already started what, three All-Star games. I don't think he really cares too heavily if he starts or
Right.
not. The NL leader in ERA is Ranger Suarez. I think fans would respectfully rather see Skeens, and also Skeens has a lower ERA than anyone that's there anyway. Obviously, he doesn't qualify, but
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like in terms of the idea of like, has he earned it? I mean, since he's like it wasn't in his
I
control
would
that he
I
didn't
would say
start the
how is
year
he
with
not?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Yeah, it also like it's not like he was injured to start the year. He was in the
yeah.
minors, which was an organizational decision, and I'm not even saying it was a bad decision, but like, the he's in the innings that he's pitched where the Pirates decided he could be at the MLB level, he's been absolutely excellent. And also there's I wouldn't I wouldn't be necessarily advocating for him if he was averaging, 94 on his fastball and just had, really good location. I'd still appreciate that, but it's not the same effect as averaging 100, having, a 95-mile-per-hour splitter and all that stuff. Like yeah, he can put on a show, and that's what the All-Star game is, especially now that there's no, caveat with
That's
the World
another part of
Series.
it. There's no caveat like that. The
Right.
only so of all the pitchers with at least 50 innings pitched this year, the only one with a lower ERA than Paul Skeens is another All-Star. It's Ronaldo Lopez, another starter. So that might be another case to be made. I still feel like if given the choice, Torey Lovullo is going to take Skeens over Lopez.
Yeah, and let's like looking back at previous All-Star games, I remember when Ohtani started as a
Yeah,
pitcher, I don't think he was
as an eye
very
for
close to the
optics, largely, right?
and like I don't think he was very close to being the best pitcher in the AL that year. It's just
Even
like
even better is the next year they had Clayton Kershaw start because it was at Dodger Stadium instead of Sandy Alcantara.
right, right, yeah.
Like
Like
they've done these optics before, and I think they'll probably do it again, and I think they should do it again.
yeah, it's for the fans, and I mean, I'm sure, getting an all-star start does mean something, but I think they care way more about Cy Youngs and, leading an ERA or things like that. Yeah, I think it's just it would be a nice check mark, but all-star game, it's definitely now for sure about the fans. So yeah, give the fans what they want. Why not?
Yeah, I agree. It would. I mean, the All Star game has like become less and less. To be honest, I think enjoyable over the last few years. Like, when was the last time you watched an All Star game and thought like, "Damn, that was awesome"? Because for me, it was 2018.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's when they like started
Like,
doing the in-game interviews, and I was like, oh, this is
yeah,
cool.
like like the home run derby hits every year. The home run derby is the highlight of All Star Week, every single time.
Yeah.
But like I mean, what percent of baseball fans do you think could tell you that Elias Diaz won All-Star Game MVP last year?
Yeah, right. No, there's like I'm sure even if you didn't say it, it would take me a minute to remember like, oh yeah, it was Elias Diaz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And yeah, that reminds me, yeah, it was that broke the losing streak.
hmm
For
Yeah, dude, it was a huge night for Al Spalding.
yes, yes indeed. Big night for Big Al.
Big
Um
Al.
Big Al. But
Tough night for Biff. Tough night for Big Ben though.
yeah, oh man. Rough. Yeah, he was rolling over for sure. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think a Skenes day for the All-Star game would hit. I don't know what his starting schedule is.
I
I'm
was gonna
sure.
say the Pirates need to manipulate that thing.
Yeah, you're probably
Like,
not gonna
don't
make the
don't let him
playoffs this
pitch on
year.
Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
When is he scheduled to start next? Let me see.
Yeah, because I know like not that it's related to him, but like I know Scooble is probably gonna start like that weekend, so he's not gonna be able to start the All-Star game.
All right, so this is good. Paul Skenes, his projected next outing is on Thursday, the 11th, which means he would be perfectly good to go.
Yeah, that's regular
Don't
rest.
even need to mess with it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no manipulation required. Yeah, it's the gods want you to start Paul Skenes
Yeah, I agree.
on that particular outing. I mean, it would be
hmm
very cool. He's what, 22 right now?
Yes,
Yeah,
he got
22-year-old
drafted
going
last
out
year. Yeah,
throwing 102 for
it's also like, I mean, I would imagine that would be the first time that the previous year's number one overall draft pick started in the All-Star game
yeah, probably, yeah.
at any position,
Yeah, right.
right? Like that's a storyline, and like it is a little forced, but is it really that forced?
It's not that he has a
Is it
2.12
really that forced?
ERA.
It's not. Yeah, like it's not like they're kind of stretching his value. Like
Yeah, the
he's
guy
where does he rank in F4 since he made his debut on May 11th?
like he has a 33.6% strikeout rate.
Yeah,
Like that's not we're not forcing anything with that. That is like near Spencer Strider levels. Um that's, top the league.
ever
And
since
yeah,
he made his major league debut, he ranks tied for seventh in F4. Among these 76 qualifiers, he ranks third in ERA. He ranks first in ERA in the National League. This is not forced at all.
no. No, not at all. Yeah, like 96th percentile strikeout rate, and that includes relievers a lot. Like so
hmm
it should so compared to
Yeah, I
starters, he's
mean,
he's even better.
like I know that we started this segment as a question: do they start Paul Skenes? I feel like it has to be a foregone conclusion that they start him at this point.
Given the schedule, it should happen.
It makes sense. I think MLB recognizes what he is,
Yeah.
right? For a lot of baseball fans, he is the previous year's number one overall draft pick. It's not like this is, a thing that they've been, dragging out for a long time that they're finally going to do. It's a very sudden thing that is very apparently becoming one of the biggest sensations in Major League Baseball. And this is the perfect time to capitalize on it
Very much
and
so.
again, he's done enough to make it very justifiable.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Not just with like the energy and the vibe that he brings, but with the numbers.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, I guess we will wait on that and see what
hmm
happens, but
They usually don't reveal that until like the day before the game.
that is
But
true.
I would have to imagine this scenario. Maybe they make an exception and on like Friday be like, yeah, we're having skiing start.
Yeah. Yeah, it could happen. I think I know Sales, Chris Sales started on Friday, so he'd probably have a similar schedule. So
Yeah.
if it's not Skeens, it might be Sale, which,
hmm
there's definitely reasons behind that, but in terms of just
And
entertainment
I also,
value,
again, I feel like Chris Sale's the last guy to care if he starts or not. Like
yeah,
he's already done
exactly.
it so many times.
Right. Yeah.
I would imagine he's one to recognize what Paul Skenes is.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to
Um,
do it.
but yeah, anything more before we move on to Lin-Manuel Miranda's cousin?
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that.
Yeah. How many hits in a row did he get?
12.
That's a lot of hits. That is quite a bit of hits.
That's
Uh,
two more than we have commandments.
yes, indeed. Yeah, two more than the original Bill of Rights, pretty sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, lots of hits there.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
he was nonstop this weekend against the Astros,
yep.
and it won't be long now until this is one of the greatest three-game stretches of all time, in distant memory.
And very fitting that, it's pretty much July 4th week that
Yeah,
it
right.
happens.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I'm looking at the data here. And yeah, it checks out. Lots of balls in the lots of batted balls in the sweet spot.
Hmm.
Yes, there were a few lucky ones. However, that's naturally going to
Who
happen when you get
cares?
12 in a row.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the 12, I think how many hit the sweet spot? We got um one, two,
A lot of
three,
them were for extra
four,
bases.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think 9 out of 12.
That's a 75%.
Yeah, that is great batted ball distribution there. If you don't know, the sweet spot is the 8 to 32-degree launch angle zone in which hitters hit around 600 in. So obviously, if you hit it there, you're more prone to getting hits, and that's exactly what Jose Miranda did. But yeah, it's very cool. I feel like the Twins have not gotten some of what they've wanted from some of their young players this year, especially out of Matt Wallner and Edward Julian. So having
Hmm.
Jose Miranda come up and do this and show that he's really offensively viable is, I think it's pretty good boost of confidence for the organization.
No, it's huge. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's really looking to get something going because they had a lot of expectations this year. They, went to the playoffs, won a playoff series for the first time last year, have a young core, and things just haven't gone their way this year. The Guardians are looking, I think, a lot better than either of us anticipated, and I think better than they anticipated this year. Um, and Correa's been playing a lot better. He's the Twins' lone all-star. They've gotten a lot out of someone like Willie Castro, who, certainly they're happy with the production that he gave them, but I don't know, if before this season or even now, how much they plan on having him in the future, or what his role looks like far beyond this year. But someone like Jose Miranda, who came up as a top 100 prospect, who played very well in 2022 before struggling with some injuries and underperformance in 2023. Yeah, I mean, this is at least a very memorable moment, but also something that could really rally the club, give them something to get excited about. Um, and I think, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big beacon of hope for the organization right now.
Yeah, indeed, and helps out also, or at least one of the games. July 6th in particular, he did it out of the third base position, which
Hmm.
is a little bit of a hole right now because Royce Lewis just went back on the IL. So yeah, I mean, he provides some corner flexibility there, and producing out of the producing offense out of that position is, that's what they would miss with Lewis. So it's nice to just kind of have that hole sort of filled at least temporarily. So yeah, it is cool. I mean, he's a still a pretty young guy, if I recall correctly, right? He's um
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He is
20
very.
26. Yeah, he's 26. Um so yeah, yeah, just turned 26. So yeah, good for Jose Miranda. Pretty legit streak there, as we said, the 75% sweet spot rate definitely hits, and yeah, he got some hits.
Very, yeah, very fun. Like I remember Dustin Pedroia had a very similar streak in 2016 where he had hits and 11 straight at bats. And like it is a very cool thing to watch because like I don't know, it feels very rare, like very specifically just wanting a hit out of a guy because for a milestone, right? Like you think of 3,000 hits, you think of like stuff like that. But like, yeah, just give me a hit, any hit for history purposes. Like, it's something you don't really see a lot, and it's cool to watch.
Yeah, because it can come in a variety of forms. It could be a line drive, could be a home run, could be a little squibber down the third base line.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
Yeah,
Seems
he tied the all-time record for most hits uh, in consecutive at bats. He had a chance to break the record at most hits in consecutive plate appearances because he tied it at 10, but then he got hit by a pitch.
damn shame.
I
Yeah.
know.
Some real look at the Astros trying to ruin everything again. Look at
Yeah, of course. He set the Twins franchise record for most consecutive plate appearances reaching safely.
yeah, that's a fun one as
Yeah,
well. Um
exactly.
yeah, but
Only player in the expansion era to collect a hit in 12 straight at bats.
yeah, that is definitely a feat. Yeah, expansion era goes back to 61.
1961.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, that shall do it for the current events, I guess, of
Hmm.
the episode. Now we will go into players to highlight, where we will start with the lows, so we end with the highs. But yeah, now on to our Sunday, July 7, 2024 edition of Slightly Alarming Statistics. He's been barreling up the ball way less.
He's not missing bats. He's not getting the ball on the ground, and people are hitting it in the air more.
It's been so bad. He is getting a
Slightly alarming.
Yeah, so today for my slightly alarming, this was a guy that kind of took the league sort of by storm last year on a bad team and then a good team after getting traded, but other bad team this year and has been a large reason why, unfortunately. Talking about Jake Berger from the Miami Marlins because he has not played the same that he did last year. In 2024, he is slashing 216, 256, 356 for a 612 OPS and a 71 weighted runs created plus in 281 plate appearances. So he's played the whole season and it's not been very good. Among the 143 qualified hitters this season, he ranks third lowest in OBP, fifth lowest in OPS, fourth lowest in weighted runs created plus, and is tied for the sixth lowest in FWAR at negative zero point 0.4. So among qualifying players, he's been perhaps a bottom five position player. Last year, his ground ball rate was 42.9%, which is a little bit below the league average. It's up to 50.3%. And all of those ground balls are taken away from line drives. His line drive rate last year was 25.1%. This year it's down to 18%, down 7.1%. This change has caused his expected batting average to fall from 270 last year to 226 this year. It's caused his sweet spot rate to fall from 33.4% last year to 25.9% this year. That is second percentile sweet spot rate. And in 2023, Berger had a pull rate of 45.8%. That is a huge pull rate. That's a large part of the reason why he was successful last year. Jake Berger hit 430 and slugged 924 on pulled batted balls last year. And among the 91 hitters with at least 150 pulled batted balls, he ranked sixth in average and OBP on them. But in 2024, his pull rate has fallen to just 38.6%. So something that he did a lot last year that was a big reason why he was successful. He's not doing it anymore, or not doing it to that extent anymore. His 7.2% drop in pull rate is the 13th steepest drop among the 181 qualified hitters. And in 2023, Jake Berger hit 278 and slugged 769 against four-seam fastballs. But in 2024, is hitting 250 and slugging 442 against them. So the batting average has stayed pretty similar, but the slugging percentage is down over 320 points. That is because his ground ball rate has gone from 18.8% this year to 34.2% this year. So Jake Berger has been hitting the ball on the ground a bit too much this year and swinging and missing a bit more, especially on fastballs as well. And for that reason, he is getting a slightly alarming.
Jake Berger.
Slightly alarming.
Yeah, yeah, and I did pick, yeah, good for me. I picked the right year to highlight him as a player to watch because yeah, he's dropped off since my 2023 selection of him.
Yeah,
So
good call
far.
last year.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, on to my slightly alarming, who actually, in a horrible move, hit a home run today. However, still with that home run, his
Oh, I think I know
statistics
who it is.
with his statistics are still not very good in this span that I'm talking about. And I'm talking about Matt Olson,
Oh, never mind.
of the Atlanta Braves, who, yeah, he went 1 for 4 with a homer, against the Phillies today. However, it was the first time in a while he had a semblance of success. So maybe that's the little ray of light that that he needs to get out of this slump, because in this slump, including today, in his last 15 games, Matt Olson is hitting 167 with a 503 OPS. In his previous 14 games heading into today, out of 175 qualifiers in this span, his slugging was fourth lowest and OPS was 12th lowest. You're talking about Matt Olson, home run hitting Matt Olson, with the fourth lowest slugging in a 14 game span. Out of 197 hitters, with 150 plus pitches seen in this span, his expected WOBA was in the seventh lowest, or his expected WOBA was seventh lowest, and his expected slugging was the lowest. Again, Matt Olson, who is known for his ability to slug, had the lowest expected slugging in a 14 game span. Part of this has to do with less contact being made. His strikeout rate has gone from 26% before the span to 34% in this span, and it was 37% in this span entering today. And out of 175 qualifiers, that 37% strikeout rate ranked sixth highest. Also, he's hitting the ball softer, substantially softer. His average exit velocity has gone from 92.2 miles per hour to 87.2 miles per hour. His sweet spot rate has also diminished. It has gone from 37% to 28%. So not only is he not hitting the ball as hard, his batted ball distribution is worse on the angle side. His hard hit sweet spot rate has gone from 23% to 16%, and that includes today. In this span, his hard hit sweet spot rate is only 16%. And also before this span, 43% of his fly balls were 39 degrees or higher, which are pretty non-competitive fly balls. In this span, 7 out of 8 of his fly balls have been 39 degrees or higher, and he is 0 for 7 on those batted balls. So yeah, 39 degrees means it's pretty high in the air, very unlikely to leave the yard, and very likely to reach the back of someone's glove. So him hitting more of those, or a higher rate of those on particularly fly balls, is not a very good sign. And before today, he had not had a barrel in his last 19 games, which meant that his barrel rate had gone from 12% before that span to 0% in that span. So yeah, Matt Olson, you know, Matt Olson was slumping, hit a home run today, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's over. So things to look out for, him making less contact, him hitting more higher fly balls that aren't supposed to go out of the ballpark, and him making softer contact. So something to look out for. Matt Olson has been
slightly alarming.
All right, so that does it for slightly alarming. Now we will go from the lows to the highs, where we were talking players or subjects that are outperforming expectations with our Sunday, July 7, 2024 edition of How About That?
He's striking out less, walking more, and he's also making better contact.
Turning into a strikeout machine just out of nowhere.
He's been excellent all around this year.
And he is getting a...
How about that?
Yeah, so for my How About That today, I'm going with a guy that was selected to his first career All-Star game today, and he was his team's only representative, but no one is questioning whether he deserves to be there or not. And somehow we haven't talked about him yet, which is, I feel like, kind of an L on our part, because we probably should have been on this a lot sooner. But I am talking about Garrett Crochet today, because I had to go back and make sure we didn't do him as a How About That, because we did do a White Sox. We did Andrew Vaughn, but it felt like a guy we already would have hit on, but we haven't. So today I'm talking about Garrett Crochet because in 105.1 innings pitched this season, he has a 3.08 ERA and a 2.43 FIP. Among these 72 qualifying starting pitchers, he ranks first in strikeouts per nine at 12.47, 14th in walks per nine at 1.97, first in strikeout rate minus walk rate at 29.3%, second in FIP, and first in F4 at 3.7. One of the reasons why Garrett Crochet has stepped up in his first full year in the big leagues and his first year as a starter, is that he introduced the new pitch. He introduced a cutter this year, which he throws 27% of the time, his second most used pitch. His 457 cutters thrown are actually the second most by a left-handed pitcher this year. So he went from not ever throwing a cutter to throwing it more than every other lefty in the league, minus Nestor Cortez, which is, I think, pretty interesting, especially because it's been awesome. His 35.2 on his cutter is the seventh most among the 115 pitchers with at least 100 cutters thrown. Opponents have hit 221 and are slugging 295 against Garrett Crochet's cutter with similar expected numbers. So not a fluke. It has a 12 run value, which has made it the second most valuable cutter and tied for the fifth most effective pitch in baseball. Now, to understand how ridiculous it is that it has a 12 run value, of the 29 pitches in all of baseball to have double-digit run value, which means its results have saved more than 10 runs this season, Crochet's is one of just two pitches of those 29 that are thrown less than 30% of the time by that pitcher. Run value is something you accumulate. You got to throw a lot of said pitch to get a lot of run value. Garrett Crochet has thrown his cutter, again, 27% of the time, and it's still one of just 29 pitches with double-digit run value, and it's actually at 12. So that's remarkable with how effective it has been. And additionally, sticking with run value, Crochet is the only pitcher in baseball to have multiple pitches with double-digit run value. That is because his four-seam fastball has a run value of 10. It is because opponents have hit 189 and are slugging 276 against that four-seam fastball, which is his primary pitch. It has a 30.7% whiff rate. That is the sixth highest among the 138 pitchers with at least 300 four-seamers thrown. Now, coming into this year, Garrett Crochet had a career chase rate of 25.3%. And this year, it is up to 32.6%, so he's getting a lot of out-of-zone swing. Also coming into this year, he had a career swing rate against of 44.9%, which is below league average, and also a zone rate of 49.8%, which is also below average. So he was throwing a lot of pitches out of the zone, and a lot of people weren't swinging at any of his pitches. And as you can imagine, that led to a lot of walks. His career walks per nine going into this year was 4.9, which is not good. This year, his swing rate is up to 52.2%. His zone rate is up to 54.3%, and thus he has a walks per nine of 2.0. So Garrett Crochet has been throwing a lot more competitive pitches. He has a new pitch. He's getting a lot of swing and miss. And for that reason, he is an all-star for the first time and a how about that for the first time.
Yes, Garrett Crochet.
How about that?
Yeah, excellent. I remember heading into the season, we were like, "Oh, Garrett Crochet is going to be a starter. That's interesting." And now he's potentially going to be the most valuable player on the trade market if he is on the trade market. But
yeah,
if he is on the trade market, I think he's automatically the most valuable guy on the trade market, given all of his underlying stuff. But yeah, he has been exceptional. So yeah, my how about that? Kind of similar. The way you introduced your guy, I was wondering if you were talking about my guy, because this guy, I think, is in his first All-Star game. I think the lone participant of his team, and yeah, I think has made a decent case for himself. I'm talking about CJ Abrams of the Washington Nationals, who has had a really good stretch that's lasted almost a month. In his last 23 games, including today, CJ Abrams is hitting 385 with an 1159 OPS. In his previous 22 games heading into today, out of 170 qualifiers in the span, his average ranked second, on-base percentage ranked first, slugging ranked eighth, and OPS ranked fourth. Also, out of 147 hitters with 300 plus pitches seen in the span heading into Sunday, his expected batting average ranked 11th and expected WOBA ranked 10th. So fairly on par with the on the surface ranks. So part of this has to do with him making a little bit more contact. His strikeout rate has gone from 21% before the span to 16% in this span. But more notable is him getting on base via the base on balls. His walk rate has gone from 5% before the span to 15% in the span. It is just about tripled. And in his previous 22 games heading into Sunday, his walk rate ranked ninth out of 170 qualifiers, which is something that would be surprising given CJ Abrams' history. Part of the, a lot of this naturally has to do with him chasing less pitches out of the zone. His chase rate has gone from 41% to 29% in this span, which is a pretty significant difference. Also, just in general, probably as a natural transfer, he's just swinging at less pitches than he used to. He's gone from swinging at 56% of the pitches thrown to him to swinging at 50% of the pitches thrown to him. So just a little bit more selection or selectiveness from CJ Abrams. Also hitting the ball a little bit harder. His average exit velocity has gone from 89.1 miles per hour to 90.7 miles per hour. Also, his sweet spot rate in the span is 41%, and line drive rate in the span is 32%. And out of 167 hitters with 50 plus batted balls in the span heading into Sunday, his line drive rate ranks 16th, good for top 10%. So, batted ball metrics good, but he's a lot more selective at the plate and taking a lot more walks, which has resulted in him having the best on base percentage over his last 22 games heading into Sunday, and he went 2 for 4 today. So I imagine that might stay up there. So yeah, CJ Abrams getting a.
How about that?
All right, so
Yeah.
we will move on to the 8th edition of Savant Trivia. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how you'll necessarily feel about this, but I'm going to use one of your games to quiz you. Um,
Okay.
so and it's going to be the first game that you did. So I feel like there's been enough of a grace
Yeah.
period. It's been about 2 months since we've done this game, but same rules, same everything. It's going to be eight.
I'm excited because I play this game on my own sometimes.
Yep. Yep. So
And yeah, I'm excited to actually put it to the test live this time.
yeah, so you gave me 8 batted balls to go off of. I'm giving you 8 batted balls to go off of. Lifeline situation is going to be the same. So yeah, it's a Daniel Curran trademark, but I'm going to use it because I figure, some of these games we're probably going to do a little bit of repeats because it's fairly
I'm
evergreen.
fine with it.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, in terms of the screen sharing, I'm gonna try to make sure I don't mess up here.
Hmm.
But so yeah, so first, so yeah, let me
By the
just
way, you should probably explain the game in case anyone doesn't know and they didn't watch the first one.
that is true. I'll explain away. So yeah, so the crux of the game is first I will give Daniel an image of where a certain batted ball is a home run and where it is not. That is according to Baseball Savant, not according to our own eyes. But and then Daniel, given that information, is going to guess what part of the ballpark it's going to go to. There's pretty much 5 guesses you can do. You can go left field, left center, dead center, or right field. I tried not to do any real in-betweeners. Maybe there's one that's kind of an in-betweener, but
Yeah,
we'll
that's all
cross that
right.
bridge when we get there. But yeah, so he will have 2 lifelines, one of which is going to be, he can ask for the exit velocity and launch angle of the batted ball. That can, help eliminate some ones, since if it's a lower launch angle one, you could say, oh, this park has a tall wall or short wall. It wouldn't make sense if it wasn't or was a home run in this ballpark. And then the second lifeline is the player that hit it. So if you remember it, then
I would say, were all these in the last week?
um, no, not
Okay.
they were not.
That's gonna be tough then.
That's gonna be tough. Well, we could change it on the spot and just give you 2 exit velocity and launch angle ones.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, so we'll change that on the spot.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, all right. I think that's everything.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Are you seeing? Do you
I
have a good
sure
view of
am.
this?
All right, so it's a home run in six ballparks at Fenway, Wrigley, Angel Stadium, Dodger Stadium, Petco, and Oracle. So my initial thought, of course, is uh, Green Monster, but I don't think it can be like left field because Wrigley it kind of extends out. My first thought um is kind of like left field, but like very high and also like right enough to where it's in the basket of Wrigley. I don't think right field line makes sense again because of Wrigley. Left center is also tough. Yeah, I'm gonna go left center with like a high launch angle.
Left center with a high
This
launch
is a
angle.
tough one to start out with.
Yeah, it can be. Let's take a look.
Tyler O'Neill. That's center field. Yeah, I mean that's center field all day.
Yeah,
All right.
so that is the first one. I will say you provided me one or two layups, but I figured
But that
since
was also the first time we were playing the game.
yeah,
This is like we're used to this now.
we're a little bit more used to it, I
Yeah.
guess.
All
Yeah.
right. That's all
So
right. I
yeah,
figured if it was center that Baltimore would be in there because I remember the one that I did last time where it was only Baltimore and Dodger Stadium that it was out at, and it was the dead center.
right. Yeah, I was
So I mean
wondering,
it's
yeah, because the thing that stuck out to me when I was searching it, and obviously I had already seen the home run before, but like uh Petco, Oracle, and Dodger Stadium, like those center fields all are like less than 400, so I was wondering
yeah.
if that would be picked up. All
Mhm.
right, so on to home run number two. Here's our preview.
All right. Okay, so it's a 4-6, just in the opposite direction this time. Four of the six ballparks are the same on the minority side here, with Fenway
Mhm.
Angels Stadium and Dodger Stadium. Um, my vision is like right field, uh, like at Fenway where that weird corner is. Wrigley is the same way, but I don't know if that makes so much sense for Angel Stadium because it's like a short wall out there. Um, hmm, maybe it's like a low, maybe it's like a low line drive to right field.
Is
That's
that
what
going to be your
I'll.
guess?
Yeah, I'm going right field because cores would make sense because it's got the high wall out there. Maybe like a low. I mean, the launch angle doesn't count. That's kind of just my rationale here. But I'm going right field.
All right, let's take a look. One. Oh, what?
It's,
Okay, we're good.
all right. Vinny Pasquantino against Edwin Diaz. That is to right field and gone.
There we go.
That's a dub.
Yeah, I do not know why the sound did not play. But yeah,
That's
no,
all right.
it was a right field home run. It was kind of dead on. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the launch angle was probably like in the sweet spot, given that it was still a fly ball.
right. Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know what it was.
Yeah, no, or I can actually, well, since I have all
Yeah,
the
I was
launch angles
say I'm not gonna
listed, it was 31 degrees,
nailed it. Nailed it.
but it was 96 miles per hour, so it
Yeah.
definitely seemed lower. Um, but yeah, so now on to number three. I'll have to get this loaded up here. All right.
Fenway, Wrigley, home run at GABP. Makes sense. Everything's a homer there. Homer in Detroit and in Houston. Hmm.
Not an easy
Philly,
one.
homer in Petco. No, this is not an easy one. Um, So I feel like left and right field line have to be out because uh it's at Wrigley. It's out of Wrigley. Um, but like I feel like right center in Houston is like, and left center in Houston is kind of tough. I might go, but this is a hard one. This is a really tough one. Homer in Seattle, but like not much else. Like Seattle is a tough one. Uh, yeah. Um, hmm. I guess I'll go like right field, like right center,
All right.
but like maybe a little towards right as well,
Okay.
like a mixture of both. But we'll go with right center.
The
Oh,
ninth
I don't feel good about David
Schneider and
Schneider.
Brevia.
Yeah, that is not it. Not it at all.
High out to left field, out the wall, and it just gets out.
Other than that, it's interesting.
See, yeah, it wasn't down the line, but I would categorize
Yeah,
that as left
I feel
field.
like you kind of had 50-50 between left and right in
Yeah.
that case. But yeah, I guess I should have said left because it could have been like Crawford boxes, but like
Yeah, that
not
would
down
be
the
like
line.
edge of the Crawford boxes.
Yeah, I'm not doing very well right now. I need to start going on a run.
I've none of these have been exactly easy, I will
No,
say.
but I don't want them to be easy.
Yeah. We're here for the challenges. And also there
Yeah,
are 5 options to choose from
yeah.
direction wise. So the odds or no, we're not really playing to the odds here.
Mhm.
Um, all right, so now on to home run number 4.
Oh boy. All right, it's a near half and half. So, what? Home run at Fenway, but not at Wrigley. Um, Home run in Baltimore, so I don't think it's left. Yeah, home run in Baltimore is a very important one, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
says a lot.
yeah. Um, Not a homer in Houston. Okay. I'm gonna go with right center again, I think. I feel
All
like
right.
that makes some sense here.
All right, let's get it loaded up.
Show me a left-handed batter.
Run scored in May. Ball hit pretty well to center field. Back on it goes Myers, still going back. He will play it off the wall. Langoliers,
Yeah,
who leads
well,
the
hey,
team
I got
with
that
2
one.
triples, will hold.
There we go. There we go. I'm, you know, I was worried because yeah, that was I knew that was going to be a pretty hard one because it's out in 16 and not in 14. So
Mm-hmm.
anytime you're splitting difference like that, you're leaving a lot on the table. So yeah,
100%. Well, there's just so many places you have to look.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
when it's a lopsided one, you kind of just have to look at the minority one and be like, where would it not be out in these places? But you really got to look so many different places for the even ones.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Um, yeah. All right. So now,
Two for
um,
two and two
yeah,
is
we're
is the
two.
count here.
We're batting 500, as they would like
Yeah.
to say. Yeah. So home run number 5.
Okay. Another lopsided one. This has to be right center. Or yeah, I mean this. Actually, Tampa has that weird corner in left center though. Right? Tampa has that weird corner in left center. I'm going left center. Yeah. Tampa has that one weird corner. And it
Okay.
would make sense for the other three.
All right.
I could picture in Colorado, like in that spot, like where the two fences like change direction, going from diagonal to straight in left center. That's my vision here.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, give me
And
this.
JD rockets
No.
it out to right center.
Hey.
Back in the gap goes Chisholm looking up, and it's out of here. JD
Oh, that is so
Martinez
sad.
wins it.
That is very sad.
that is unfortunate.
Tampa has that. You know what I'm talking about, though? Tampa has that weird left center field corner.
They do. They do. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is tough. It is tough. All the things considered there. Because yeah, when I think Tampa, I just think like, oh, they just have standard dimensions, but they do have
Yeah.
some weird stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Unfortunate.
I realize I'm calling them all home runs. Not all of them are home runs, but you know,
Hmm.
we're moving on.
Yeah. It's all right.
So so yeah, on to let's take a look at number 6 here.
Okay. Coors and PNC. Now PNC is the one that has also that weird corner. I feel like I saw a home run that had exactly this chart earlier this week. I'm gonna go with the same logic I did last time and just go left center in that weird like corner in Pittsburgh where the bullpen is.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. I feel much better about that. I mean, I felt good about last one. I feel like this one has to be left center.
Or wait, I think we're on, or wait, yeah, we're on number 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he wants to go towards second base too much.
Okay.
And smack toward left center field. Look at that ball jump. That ball is gone. Opposite field home run for Gorman and the Cardinals.
Yeah. I mean, see, that's knowing ball right there.
Yeah.
That's knowing ball. Like I got that one without hesitation.
Yeah,
That's looking at not out in PNC Park and knowing exactly where in PNC Park it's not out.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, I think yeah, you've also been there, so you know the
I have
dimensions
also been there. Yes.
decently well. Yeah, that is some great execution by Daniel Curran right there.
Yeah.
On to number 7, as we pull it up right here.
All right. Not out in Baltimore, which automatically makes me think left, but is Lone Depot weird with left field? Milwaukee. Where is it not out in Milwaukee? Hmm. I almost feel like not out. I mean, not out in Baltimore. It's got to be a line because it's not out at Wrigley, but it's also not out in Colorado. There's that tall wall out there. Miami's a bit weird. I'm gonna go. I might go like right field because all of these have like either tall right field walls or push back. Like Baltimore has a tall right field wall. Colorado has a tall right field wall. I don't know if I'm locking in yet. It's
You
out at
do
Fenway.
have the 2
Oh,
life.
that's true. That's true. Can I have a lifeline?
Yes, for the exit velocity and launch angle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's look back or yeah,
This
let
is
me
number
stop the
7.
share. Um, yeah, so it is going to be 97.9 miles per hour and 40 degrees.
Oh, this is right field. Yeah, this is right field.
All right. All right. Let's pull it up. Make sure we have it. Get this discussed.
I'm feeling very 50-50 between right and left, but I already said right, so we'll go with it.
All right.
Oh, it's Marcus Semien. This is definitely left.
Probably interested in
Definitely left field. Marcus Semien doesn't hit opposite field homers.
Ball is hit well down the left field line. That could be trouble. It is gone.
Yeah.
A 2-run shot for Semien.
I did the.
You didn't even have to show me the video. You could have just showed me a screenshot, and I would have been like, "Oh, that's left field."
I did kind of want to have that intention to where you saw who was batting and you automatically knew. I mean,
well, because I already know it's out in Texas, so I know that the clip is going to be a home run.
right. Yeah.
I wanted to get 5 for 8. I can't do that. Let's at least salvage a 50-50 split here. This has not been a good showing for me today.
It's it can be tough because the way I lost on my last one was exactly that. I thought it was one of the lines. I went for it on one. I went for it on right
Wrigley
field.
is so tough because it's like if it's not out at Wrigley, you know it's a line, but then it's 50-50.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, let's pull up the image for home run number 8.
Last one. Can I take a lifeline on this one as well? Just because I have it.
Yes. Right. Yeah, exactly. So it is 104.4 miles per hour and 26 degrees. So fairly
Okay,
standard.
so it's a lower home run, I guess. Well, maybe
Yeah.
not. Um,
All right, let's take a look
yeah,
here.
let's see. Let's see what we're working with right now. So we're talking out at Wrigley, out at Cincinnati. Well, this might be another, I'm thinking very similar to the first one, where it's out in center because, right? I mean, Wrigley, Dodger Stadium, Oracle, Petco, but can you hit a 26-degree launch angle out to center? I guess if it's 104, you could. I'm gonna go like I'm thinking left center, but like pretty close to center as well in
All right.
Camden.
So left center is the
Wait, no, I'm
ace.
not. I'm not locked in yet. I'm not locked
All
in.
right.
That's just my initial thought. Because not out in Camden. I guess it could be not out in Camden because there is like that kind of spike in center field, but that would be more center than left center, wouldn't it? Yeah, not out at Fenway would make sense because there's a tall wall out there. A lot of short. I might go center because everything I'm looking at here, I'm thinking short center field walls. I just don't know, like, is it someone with the power to hit one out with a 26-degree launch angle to center? Like that doesn't feel likely. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm going center.
Center field.
Show me John Carlos Stanton.
All right. Let's take a look. Number 8.
Let it go.
Throw the dang thing.
All right,
And now the
Spencer
2-1.
Steer. I think this is left center.
Fly ball left field, pretty well hit. Merrifield going back. It
That's
is
unfortunate.
gone.
I had it. I literally remember watching.
Yep.
It's so
Yeah.
sad. Not a good showing for me today. Three for 8.
It is tough. However, given that there's 5 options, 20% chance to get it right. So you
Yeah.
were at 37.5%.
Yeah.
So
Just watch me on clip 6 and put that on loop.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was some mastery right there.
Yeah. I mean, I do appreciate, yeah, I remember watching that Spencer Steer Grand Slam live. It was like the second week of the season. Uh
Hmm.
yeah, and I knew it was left center because I remember it. As soon as you showed me Marcus Simeon, like that was it.
Yep.
So that was a pretty funny moment. But yeah,
I thought
another
about
always a fun game. I'm not proud of myself. I clearly have some more studying to do.
well, yeah, sometimes it's just
I
the way the
think
ball
uh I
goes.
think like Cespedes Family Barbecue wrote an article a while ago. It was either Cespedes Barbecue or Petriello. I think it actually might have been Petriello about like how many stadiums have like unicorn territory.
Yeah, right, right.
Like either not out or out at any point in their ballpark.
Right. Oh yeah, like 1 out of 30 ballpark.
1 out of 30 or 29 out of 30.
True. Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Like
I mean,
yeah, like Triple Zally in San Fran or something like that.
that'd be a good like rain delay conversation to have. Just be like if you're just like supposed to be watching a baseball game with someone, but there's a rain delay, it's just like, where what are the how many unicorn stadiums are there?
I think
Um,
it would make more sense for Petriello because he definitely has a lot more access to that kind of data.
indeed,
It was
indeed.
either him or Cespedes Barbecue.
Right, right. But yeah, that does it for Savant Trivia, and that does it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you are listening to an Apple Podcast or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, go to the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. That's where you can follow the game, guess for yourself before it all happens.
You could probably
So
do
yeah,
better than me.
go to the Savant, go to the YouTube channel, check out the Savant Trivia aspect. And yeah, you'll have a fun time. Also, go to the playlists on the YouTube channel. Check out our guest interviews. We've had Mike Petriello on, as Daniel just mentioned. We've had Foolish Bailey on, Sarah Langs, Chris Rose, Jeff Passan, among many others. Check out the playlist there on the YouTube channel with the guest interviews and whatnot. Also, follow us on social media. Follow me on Twitter, Ekis_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran. And follow the show on Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where we will be talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball. Once again, see you then.
This conversation is over.